Welcome to Dr. P.C. Verma Economist YouTube economics class. In this class, we will discuss in English medium. Today's topic is need deals with India to reduce dependence. Sage, European Union chief. Views of President Ursula von der Leyen explained by Dr. P.C. Verma, former HOD and University Professor of Economics, Patna College, Patna University, Bihar, India. There is need for deals with India to reduce US dependence. We all know that research study established the fact that India is a fast-growing economy in investment, intangible investment, and tangible investment in the world. Number one is India, and number 2 position is to USA, and number 15 position to Japan, number 11 position to Great Britain. So this research work has established the fact that India is a fast-growing economy and US is number 2. Naturally, US President Donald Trump is not happy to listen to these facts. His hypothesis is that India is dead economy. On what ground you have said so? Do you have any research work saying this type of thing to India? Research work is done by Jonathan Haskell, and his research team has taken 15 nations in the world, and survey was done on the basis of statistical data, which is of international sources provided. On that basis, it was found that India is top in the growth of the economy in the world. India is at the top in the growth of tangible and intangible investment in comparison to the different 15 nations, 14 nations in the world. All these nations are sometimes great nations, but condition is gradually reduced because the fast development of India's economy, and President Ursula von der Leyen is in favor of India. She made, I have seen the news video that she is in favor of development of India, and she wants to protect India from the US dependence. So Ursula von der Leyen, President of European Union, EU chief, said there is a need for deals with India to reduce US dependence. President Ursula von der Leyen said on 18th September 2025. Said on 18th September 18th September 2000. September 2025. The European Union must look to trade deals with countries like India to reduce dependency with higher US import tariffs, pushing the bloc to diversity its ties. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said, "We want to make a deal with India this year." Von der Leyen said at a conference with German business leaders, adding the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had assured her of his commitment to this goal in a phone call on on a phone call on 18th 18th September 18th September 2025. We are in talks with South Africa, Malaysia, the United Arab Emirates, and others in this issue. More sanctions on Russia by this week. Meanwhile, the European Union is planning to present member states with its latest package of proposed sanctions on Russia as early as uh, 19th September 2025, following a phone call between von der Leyen and US President Donald Trump, according to people familiar with the matter. After the call, the European Union Commission President said the package, the bloc's 19th since Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, would target crypto, banks, and energy. The US has pressed the G7 to impose tariff as high as 100% on China and India for their purchases of Russian oil to push President Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. The European Union the European Union must look the European Union must look to trade deal, must look to trade deals with countries with countries like India. India to reduce dependence, to reduce dependencies, dependency, dependencies with higher USA import USA import tariff tariffs, pushing the bloc to diversity its size, bloc to diversity, its size, its size. The European Union must look to trade deals with countries like India to reduce dependencies with higher US import tariff, pushing the bloc to diversity, its ties. European Commission European Commission, EC, President, Ursula von der Leyen, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said, on after 18 September 2025. Lane Sage, Lane Sage. We want to make, we want to make we want to make a deal with India this year. At a conference with German business leaders. German business leaders, adding that Indian Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Modi had assured, had assured her, her of his commitment commitment to this goal, to this goal, to this goal in a phone call, in a phone call on 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 17th, on 17th seventeenth September 2025, EU chief says we are in talks we are in talks with South Africa, with South Africa, Malaysia, 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 the United Arab, the United Arab Emirates. Emirates and others. European Union chief said, we are in talks with South Africa, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates and others. We are in talk with South Africa, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates. More sanction. More sanctions on Russia. More sanction on Russia. Number 5. Meanwhile, the European Union, the European Union is planning to present member states with its latest with its latest package of proposed sanctions on Russia as early as early age. As early age. Nineteenth September 2025. Five. Following a phone call. Following a phone call between von der Leyen and US and US President US President Donald Trump Donald Donald Trump according to people familiar with the matter. The matter. After Tuesday, so After 17th September 2025, called the European Commission, European Commission President, said the package the blocks 19th the blocks 19th since Moscow Moscow full scale full scale invasion of Ukraine would target crypto bank and energy. The USA has pressured pressured the G G7 to impose tariffs as high as 100% on China and India for their purchases of Russian oil to push to push to push to push to push President Vladimir President Vladimir President Vladimir Putin to the negotiation negotiating table negotiating table. Thus, we come to the conclusion that President Ursula von der Leyen says that we want to make a deal with India this year. And she said this in a conference with a German business leaders, adding that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had assured her of his commitment to this goal in a phone call on Wednesday. We are in talks with South Africa, Malaysia, and United Arab Emirates and others. On the other hand, the scenario created by Donald Trump, President of USA. Meanwhile, the United Union is planning to present member states with its latest package of proposed sanctions on Russia as early as possible, following a phone call between President Ursula von der Leyen and with Donald Trump, President of USA, with this matter. European Union Commission for their purchases of Russian oil to push the European Commission President said the package, the bloc 19th, the package, the bloc's 19th, since Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine would target crypto, banks, and energy. The USA has pressured the G7 to impose tariffs as high as 100% on China and India for their purchases of Russian oil to push President Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. So, conclusion is that the European Union President Ursula von der Leyen said that there is a need for deal with India to reduce US dependence. To reduce US dependence. We all know that the European Union must look to trade deals with countries like India, to reduce dependencies with higher US import tariffs, pushing the bloc to diversity. It's pushing the bloc to diversity its ties. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says, we want to make a deal with India this year. Von der Leyen said at a conference with German business leaders, adding that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured her of his commitment to this goal in a phone call. We are in talks with South Africa, Malaysia, the United Arab Emirates, and others. But on the other hand, more sanctions on Russia by US. Meanwhile, the European Union is planning to present member states with its latest package of proposed sanction on Russia as early as possible, following a phone call between Urmila von der Leyen, President of United European Commission, and US President Donald Trump, according to the people familiar with this matter. After Tuesday's call, the European Commission President said the package, the bloc's 19th since Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, would target crypto banks and energy. The United States of America has pressured the G7 to impose tariffs as high as 100% on China and India for their purchases of Russian oil to push President Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. So, conclusion is that European Union Chief President Ursula von der Leyen says there is a need for deals with India to reduce US dependence. This year, she will finally conclude the deal with India. She says we want to make a deal with India this year so that this high tariff imposed by US will be the problem created may be solved. Thank you for watching this video. Like it, share it to your friends, discuss this topic with your friends. These are the most important material for the interview. When you clear PT Mains and you will be interview. I have seen in the last 50 years I am teaching economics. Interview is most important factor. Large number of students qualify in PT, Mains, and finally reaches to interview. For interview, you should have broad mind or knowing about the things happening in the world and different G7, its role, the impact of war upon Ukraine by by Russia, and the US has pressured the G7 to impose tariff as high as 100% on China and India for their purchases of Russian oil to push President Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. We have seen in television that Mr. Putin and Mr. Donald Trump met in Alaska, and the scene was that Putin was in the same car in which President Donald Trump was traveling. And with that, they said that we will discuss this matter again. Putin says that not, Putin said yes in Moscow. It means you will come to Moscow. So it is clear that Putin is not going to be under his pressure. Putin has his own ambition that those portions that have been captured by Russia during war, these will be independent country. we can recall 50 years back, USSR and USA, these are the two great power in the world. And USA is as it is, but USSR is broken. And 15 nations were created from wiping out USSR. It was the agenda of USA to make weak communist countries. America is democratic countries, capitalist countries, and capitalism theory has prevailed there. USSR is by Lenin. Lenin is great statesman. He said, 2 steps backward to jump to 3 steps forward. It was his slogan. And he developed USSR. Time is not constant. Time changes. I have seen in USSR, the statue of Lenin was broken by hammer. Young persons were pee on this the statue of Lenin. Similarly, I have seen in the Bangladesh troublesome period, the statue of the great leader was broken. So these are the things going on. USSR were broken into 15 countries. And even that time in USSR, I teach in the classroom of Russian economy, and I found that Ukraine was very strong. At that time also, in the whole block of 15 nations. And Russia was also great portion in the USSR. After bifurcation, and 15 separate countries were developed, Ukraine is still very powerful at that time. And American diplomats became successful in breaking USSR. 15 nations in one banner of USSR were very powerful. And now it has been broken into 15 nations. Even then, in 15, Ukraine and Russia, both are most powerful. Others are developing economy. Now, Ukraine has a link with NATO. Ukraine link with American country or capitalist countries. And Ukraine has become in the hands of those. They send them arms and many things. And there is a deal that in 50 years I will repay. Gradually, his whole Ukraine country is damaged. Indian students, nearly 2,200, more than 200 students from India. Every year they go there for medical education or industry, engineering educations. Very important, and quality was also very good. But now it is a thing of past. As France was very much damaged, France was very much damaged by Second World War. And for the development of France, America, in the USA, called a meeting at Bretton Woods, that is known as Bretton Woods Monetary Conference in Hampshire, New Hampshire. In the New Hampshire, Bretton Woods Conference was held, started in 1944, and that IMF and IBRD were uh, established. And it is said that largest amount of monetary support was given to France for its development. Long-term loan through IBRD and short-term loan by IMF. IMF gives a loan only for correcting the adverse balance of payment, not for any other work. IMF give the country a dollar in order to correct the disequilibrium in balance of payment. That's all. But IBRD will provide countries long-term loan for development of engineering side, road development, transport development, electricity development, educational development, any development work, and its period is a long period. Interest is charged by both IMF and IBRD. But what IMF did, if IMF give 2,000 crore dollar, then equivalent to dollar, that amount, rupees will have to be deposited there. Then they will give you $2,000 to your country for the purpose of correcting adverse balance of payment. Why this is done? That this dollar comes to your country, then and same amount of rupee is taken by the IMF, keeping as in a store in IMF office, that there is no inflation by foreign currencies coming to India. If India takes loan from IMF, large amount of dollar, it is not going to create inflation. Why? Because the same amount in terms of rupee will have to be deposited to IMF. Only then that amount of dollar you will get. And after 5 years, you have to repay it. When you repay it, their Indian currency deposit will be returned to you. This is the process in order to save the country from inflation due to the flood of dollar to your country. And IBRD gives you loan for development of infrastructure. Tata has taken first loan for the development of TISCO, iron and steel. Likewise, different electricity in our transport, national highways, such type of development were done by taking loan from IBRD. It is really very important to communicate to you that Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, has paid 100% loan taken by Congress government from IMF. 100% loan is repaid. There is no loan on India by IMF. I just communicate to you that in 1991, in India's dollar strength was 1 billion, only 1 billion in 1991 January. And India had to pay 77 billion to the maturity of the India's bond, India Resurgent Bond, India Development Bond. These where we have sold in foreign countries, America and others, and get dollar. But after the 5 years, you have to repay with interest. and in your India's stock, there is only $1 billion. This is called economic crisis in Indian economy in 1991 January. At that time, we all know that Chandrasekhar from Balia, Uttar Pradesh, became prime minister. And he allowed mortgage of gold to the international banks and get dollar immediately in the stock of the RBI, so that repayment of the India Insurgent Bond, India Development Bond, placed by the foreigners, Americans and others, will be paid out. If it is not done, this will be a crisis. This will ruin the economy. So gold was mortgaged and payment of $77 billion was done. That goal is now recovered by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So India is so strong now that at that time, $1 billion in January 1991. You all know that in 1991 is a very important period for the shift from protection policy followed by India to the free economy. And most of the restrictions like licensing, other restrictions on export, all these are quota system, all these are removed. That is known as economic reform in 1991. That was after this getting loan from IMF. At present, we don't require any foreign currency by this IMF because in our stock, 600 billion, 605, our main payment is to the petroleum product and petrol we purchase, and its payment is every month we have to pay dollar. So the economic condition is measured by the stock of dollar in your central bank, RBI, or a stock of gold. In both cases, India has increased. Therefore, at present, India has a credit to have a largest investment in intangible goods and services, like software, like Microsoft, script writing. These are the different things which cannot touch. If you touch anything that is invisible, if you cannot touch, then it is known as tangible investment, tangible goods like bread, butter, socks, shoes. These are the things known as car, aircraft, shoes, socks, manufacturing products. These are called tangible things. And intangible things are number one is software. Number two, developing movie scripts. Number three, creating apps. Number four, putting forward new ideas to organize businesses better, generating new ways of branding products, And we all know that AI, Microsoft, Google, others, all these are intangible investment. India is fast catching up with rapid growth in intangible investment. In the world, India is number 1 and US is number 2. Japan is 15th in their ranking on the basis of research work done by Jonathan Haskell, Professor of Economics, Imperial College Business, and it had proved that India is number 1 and US is number 2. On what basis Donald Trump, President of USA, declared India is a dead economy? Any statement must be backed by statistics, data, and certain figures. Figures shows that India is fast catching up with rapid growth in intangible investment. India is at the top of that growth, where US is second in the world. India is number 1. Japan is 15th. France is 6th. UK is 13th. All these I have stated in few classes just this last week. You read all these things. This will give you the scenario of present economic order in different countries of the world. Thank you for watching this video. Like, share and subscribe. लाइक जरूर कीजिए भाई, एकदम गाना नाचने वाले पर इतना लाइक, अब पढ़ाने वाले पर लाइक नहीं, क्या सिस्टम है। और जितने भी जेन जी हैं वो थोड़ा ध्यान दें, लाइक कीजिए। थैंक यू।